They say hospitals are places of healing. But if you've ever walked the halls at night, you know the truth. They're places of death. I work the night shift as a nurse in a hospital that's been around for over 100 years. It's seen its share of suffering. Some nights, it feels like the walls themselves have absorbed the pain, and they breathe it back out, whispering to those of us who remain after dark. It started on an unusually quiet night, the kind that puts you on edge because you know it won't last. I was making my final rounds before my break, checking on patients one last time. The overhead lights buzzed faintly, flickering every now and then like they were tired too. Room 209 was first. Mr. Lenz, a longtime patient suffering from pneumonia. He was asleep, breathing heavily, his frail body barely making an imprint on the sheets. Next, room 211, empty, lights off, perfectly normal. I moved on. Then came room 2113. That's where it started. Room 2113 had been empty for weeks. The last patient, an elderly woman named Mrs. Carmichael, had died there. She had no family, no visitors. The nurses whispered that she didn't want to go, that she had clung to life until the very last moment, staring at the door like she was waiting for someone to walk in. Her death had been unsettling. She had screamed, not in pain, but in terror. When she finally passed, the whole room felt wrong. Even the air had seemed heavier. The room was supposed to be vacant. But as I passed, I saw something move inside. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The door was slightly ajar, just enough for me to see into the darkened room. The bed was still made, untouched since Mrs. Carmichael's passing. But the rocking chair in the corner, the same chair she had spent hours in staring at the door, was moving. It rocked back and forth, slow and deliberate, as though someone were sitting in it. I reached for my flashlight, my fingers shaking. When I clicked it on, the beam illuminated the chair. It stopped moving instantly. The room was empty. I swallowed hard and stepped back, convincing myself it had been a draft, though every instinct in my body screamed otherwise. I closed the door tightly and continued my rounds, my pace a little faster. By the time I reached room 217, I had almost calmed down. Almost. I checked on Mrs. Donner, a frail old woman recovering from surgery. She was asleep, the heart monitor beeping steadily. I adjusted her blankets and turned to leave when she suddenly spoke. "She's watching you." I turned back, my heart pounding. "Mrs. Donner, what did you say?" Her eyes were still closed, her lips barely moving. "She's watching. She doesn't like you here." I felt a cold chill crawl up my spine. "Who's watching?" Mrs. Donner didn't answer. Instead, her breathing slowed, deepening as if she had drifted back into unconsciousness. I backed out of the room quickly, the hairs on my arms standing on end. I returned to the nurse's station, trying to shake off the unease. But as I sat down, something caught my eye on the security monitor. Room 213's door was open again. My stomach twisted. I knew I had closed it. I had felt the latch click. A dark shape stood just inside the doorway. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering in my ears. The figure was barely more than a shadow, tall and thin, its head tilted slightly as if watching the hallway. My first instinct was to call security, but when I blinked, the figure was gone. The door was closed again. I took a shaky breath. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe exhaustion was making me see things. Then the call light for room 2113 flicked on. I stared at it, frozen. That room was empty. No one was there. But the red light glowed steadily, as though someone inside had pressed the button for help. I didn't want to go. Every fiber of my being told me to stay put, to ignore it, to leave it for the morning shift. but I couldn't. It was my job, and deep down, I knew I had to go. The hallway seemed longer than before, stretching endlessly in front of me. The closer I got to room 213, the colder the air became. My breath turned to mist, my fingers numb as I reached for the door handle. I pushed it open. The room was dark. The chair was facing me now, positioned directly in front of the door. And sitting in it, Mrs. Carmichael. Her skin was ashen, her eyes sunken and hollow, black pits of nothing. Her mouth stretched into a terrible grin, lips cracking as she whispered, "You came back." I tried to scream, but the sound died in my throat. She stood, her frail form unfolding, in an unnatural way, bones creaking, her limbs too long, her fingers reaching for me. The lights flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, she was suddenly inches from my face. "Stay," she whispered, her breath ice-cold against my skin. I stumbled back, slamming the door shut and running down the hall. I didn't stop until I reached the break room, where I collapsed into a chair, shaking uncontrollably. When I finally dared to check the monitors again, room 213's door was closed. The call light was off. The next morning, I told my supervisor. She sighed, rubbing her temples like she had heard it all before. "We don't put patients in 213 anymore," she admitted. "Strange things happen there." "Then why is it still open?" I asked, my voice hoarse. She looked at me, tired, resigned. "Because no matter how many times we close it, the door always opens again." I transferred to the day shift the next week. But sometimes when I walk past that hallway, I swear I can hear the rocking chair creaking. And I know she's still there, waiting for someone else to come check on her one last time.